Good question. One more question, and then I'm going to try to give y'all a break. All right. Deuteronomy 23:7, it says, when it says not to hate Esau, what is the difference between the thought of hate and praying for destruction upon them? Just wanted to make sure my thoughts don't turn to hate. How do I separate the two? All right, good. Good question, right? Now, we are commanded not to hate Esau, right? Go to it. Deuteronomy 23:7.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, hating him and praying for his destruction are not the same, right? Because, well, let's get into it. Read verse 7.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 7.
Read.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite,
Meaning hate an Edomite. Read.
for he is thy brother.
He's our brother. That's our twin brother, our ugly, pasty, pale, hairy twin brother. Right? That's our twin brother. So the Bible says you shouldn't hate him. And we don't. We don't hate him. Do we? Right, we don't hate him. We couldn't. How could we? We can't even execute the hatred we have for him with all our power.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. I thought I could let the rest play, but I can't stand to hear these guys talk, man. I can't. I'm giving all praises to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai B'Hashem, HaRachakodash. I'm saying double honors to our apostles and elders here, Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So once again, this group continuously tries to add and take away from the scriptures. Now, I know that Bishop Nathaniel, the IUIC, the leader of the IUIC, that he knows the true breakdown of Deuteronomy 23:7. I know that. I never heard him say it. I heard him also say like, oh no, the Bible said you can't hate Edomites. But since he was at the old school, this doctrine, the true breakdown of Deuteronomy 23:7, has been explained back at the old school. I've heard the apostles and elders break that down back at the old school. So I know that he knows that Deuteronomy 23:7 isn't talking about an actual Edomite. I know that. Again, this is them willfully choosing to deceive the people. And when you find a common denominator, it has to go back to that 501c3. And I believe that this guy here speaking is the same guy in the past that said the same thing, said that you can't hate Edomites because he gives you a job. I believe that that's the very same brother that said that. I'm almost willing to bet. If it ain't the same one, then that's a problem, because that shows you that this is starting to spread. But again, when you look at these guys, man, you just see comfort. They just have the spirit of comfort. They really don't believe Jacob's trouble's around the corner. They just want to live a comfortable life in America because they're doing well. That's all. And you know what that reminds me of? The book of Amos. Okay, it's just infuriating to sit up there and try to say, you can't hate Edomites. We don't hate Edomites. They say we can't hate Edomites. That's our brother. That's what Deuteronomy 23:7 says. Like, this man just went straight from the Christianity and just put on purple. A lot of them guys, that's why we say IUIC is just a glorified Baptist church. They teach the same things. All right, Deuteronomy 23:7 is not talking about an actual Edomite. I know that their leader knows that. So everything else he got to say just don't mean nothing, because he's using 23:7 as a basis to justify them saying, we don't hate Edomites. We can't hate him. Now, I don't have to hate him, but I can pray for his destruction. You don't even make sense when you saying that madness. You can't even try to make that make sense. All right, because you said in the past you can't hate him because he gives you a job. So you already letting it be known, right, that you really prefer the bag. Okay, you prefer the bag, and you're trying to use Deuteronomy 23:7 as an excuse. Well, I got news for you. Deuteronomy 23:7 is not talking about an actual Edomite, so your whole basis is thrown off. Okay, this is why they want to try to stay away from the Hebrew, because you got to go into the Hebrew to get breakdowns. That's not talking about no Edomite. All right, it's talking about an Assyrian, and we can go through it again. But these guys are being willfully deceptive. What's the words the apostle used? Intellectually dishonest, where you have the knowledge, you know what it means, but you're going to be dishonest. That's being intellectually dishonest. And I'm really talking about their leader, because you got a lot of guys in there that's only in there because they teaching that Christianity doctrine, because that's basically what they've turned into, a glorified Baptist Christian church. Okay, it's no longer about Israelites, right? At one point it was, we're going to get on a Christian church because they teach on Sundays when they're supposed to be doing it Fridays, which you're both wrong on that. You can't say that it's a definite Sunday and you can't say that it's a definite Friday because of the moon, right? And you're saying that they're going to be destroyed because of that in this place called hell, which doesn't exist. But we're going to stand together with the Nation of Islam, non-believers, for the sake of helping black people. That group is not an Israelite group, man. That's just a glorified Christian Baptist church. They're of the world. They're not Israel. All right. The book of Amos, chapter 6, and they just seep comfort. They're just seeping out of them. They're just so comfort in the land of Babylon. Okay. Amos chapter 6, it says, "Woe to them that are at ease in Zion and trust in the mountains of Samaria, which are named chief of the nations, to whom the house of Israel came." Now, mind you, Samaria was also, you could say, a powerhouse, as you could say, during the time, because the Lord referred to the northern kingdom as Samaria, because they joined themselves into Samaria, right? So what happens is, when a nation rules power over us, our people, most of our people, would then sell out and strengthen themselves in that side of the nation and believe that nothing would ever happen to them because they strengthened themselves in Samaria, or in the land of their captivity, by joining hands with the captivity, trimming their ways, trimming their doctrine, and living a comfortable life. Because in their mind, what's the worst that can happen? Because they're joined into the leaders, right? I'm going to jump to verse 3. It says, "Ye that put far away the evil day, and cause the seat of violence to come near, that lie upon the beds of ivory, and stretch themselves upon their couches, and eat the lambs out of the flock, and cows out of the midst of the stall, that chant to the sound of the viol, and invent to themselves the interest of music like David, that drink wine in bowls, and anoint themselves with the chief ointments, but they are not grieved for the affliction of Joseph." So it's talking about the Israelites who strengthen themselves in the land of their captivity with the captor, and they're just at ease. So everything they're doing, they're just living it up as if this is Israelite, we're in the kingdom. When it says they chant to the sounds of the viol, they lie upon beds of ivory, it means they're living very good and comfortable lives. And when you go up there and teach this off doctrine, it really brings it to the forefront that you really don't look to get out of here. You know, talking about how Jacob's trouble isn't Jacob's trouble, as the scripture says, that's another indicator. Oh, no, we ain't going to be persecuting. We just going to be doing whatever we do. The next thing you know, the missile's going to fly. No, that's incorrect. Okay, the spirit was on that pastor, Ian Boying, because he went to the spirit world shortly after that. But the one time he actually had an encounter with the IUIC, the leadership of IUIC, Bishop Nathaniel Ayathon, right? It was on him to press them. He's like, tell me about this. What about a time of horrible trouble? And he went to Daniel chapter 12, and he said out of his own mouth, go watch the video. He said, so are you saying that there won't be a time of trouble? And Bishop Nathaniel said no. And he said, see, that's where you're wrong. He went to Daniel chapter 12, and he said, see, the scriptures tell you that it's going to be a time like no other upon the children of Jacob. And he said out of his own mouth, he said, that's what you're missing from your doctrine. And I believe that was the Lord bringing that out, because shortly after that, a few months later, he went to the spirit world. So one of his last jobs the Lord wanted him to do was to bring out that hole that they have, which over there at the time, at least, Bishop Nathaniel said, nope, there ain't gonna be no persecution. It's not going to happen. So then the Lord used him to say, that's where you're wrong. And that's where Bishop Nathaniel got caught in his lips, because he said, no. But then later on, when he got rebuked for it, he called us a bunch of morons and said, have you heard what I said? I just said, not yet. No, you said very clear that there won't be a time of persecution. The Lord wanted to bring that out because it shows that you got holes in your doctrine, and it shows that you all aren't looking for the evil day to come. That's why it says, was at verse 3, ye that put far away the evil day. These guys are in a sense of comfort. That guy's super duper comfortable. Okay, you could tell he doesn't have a care. He doesn't have a care in the world. He's living so good on this side. And that's what you just see. They just over there on their high horse and they're just living good. But it's because they strengthen themselves in the sight of Pharaoh so that they believe they're untouchable. And that's what makes them have respect for persons and become judges of evil thoughts. So they can sit up there on this high horse and look and talk about how you can't hate Edomites. And, we don't hate the Edomites, right? Sitting down with the devils, sitting down, giving information about your organization. And at the same time, you slander your neighbor, you slander your brother, calling us bums and pedos and rapists. And privately slandering your neighbor because in your eyes, we're the poor. And we don't have any authority or power, so you could just say whatever you want. But I know one thing, the way Deacon Asaph went on that rant about Millstone, he ain't gonna go on no rant about the so-called Jew. I know that much. He ain't gonna sit up there and get on the mic and call them a bunch of phonies and imposters and go on a rant about how they suck babies' penises or circle. He ain't gonna do that. I know that much, but he'll go up there and slander his neighbor. I know that much. See, because then you become a judge of evil thoughts because you're joined closer to the society. So you take the bag and then you teach a doctrine that they want you to teach. Okay, that 23:7 is not talking about no damn Edomite, man. And that leader knows that. So they're being intellectually dishonest, intentionally. And I believe that guy probably honestly believes that. That's the same guy keep pushing that vibration. You can't hate the Edomites. We don't hate the Edomites. All right. It might just be him and they might have to remove him or something, but he's clearly off with that spirit. You can wish for their downfall, but that don't mean you can hate them. Bro, they're the devil. Okay. I hate them. They're the enemies of the cross. They're enemies of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They persecuted my Lord, our Lord. They're slandering the neighbor. They're destroying the earth. Fuck them. They're the devil. All right. And yes, I hate the Edomites. Okay? Because as King David said, I hate them with the perfect hatred that hate thee. And he said, I count them mine enemies. Who are the enemies? Go to Psalms 82. He tells you the enemies are. He says both Edom and Amalek. But here comes this guy. The law says you can't hate the Edomites. That's not what it's talking about. Mr. Comfort. That's what I look when I see them guys. All right? Isaiah chapter 30. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked in my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And that's what them guys are doing. When they take the 501c3, they get on this high horse, and they say, yeah, we in good terms with the Edomites. We could show that we are helping black people. We're doing these things. We're cleaning up trash on the street, and we're doing these things to be seen of men, as the scripture says. But long as we have good standing with our 501c3, because that 501c3 requires them annually to show proof that they are doing so-called good things for the community, so that they can continue to operate under the radar, under Esau, Edom, and teach certain doctrines, so that they can maintain. And because they feel strengthened in the sight of Pharaoh, just like they feel strengthened in Samaria, they become at ease in Babylon, or at ease in Samaria, or at ease in Egypt. And they become judges of evil thoughts. They begin to look evil towards the neighbor, but have more respect to the heathen. You could probably slander your neighbor who's teaching the word, but when it comes to the devil, you can't say nothing. Well, we can't hate him because the law. First of all, that's not what it's talking about. Second of all, the law also says that you shall not bear false witness or privacy slander your brother, which you guys do repeatedly. See, they're just a bunch of damn hypocrites. All right. Now let's go into it. Very simple, as we've explained it several times over. Deuteronomy 23:7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land. First thing he says, see, it says mean hate an Edomite. First of all, the word abhor does not mean hate. It's very plain and very simple. The word abhor, okay? Sayab. To abhor, to be abominable, right? To loathe. Notice none of these are saying hate, okay? So it says to loathe, like in the ritual sense, in the ethical sense, to loathe, right? So it doesn't mean hate. The word abhor does not mean hate, okay? It just means to like shun, to look with different, like disgust, right? And it's not talking about the actual hate, okay? Second of all, when it says thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for it's not thy brother, it's not talking about an actual Edomite. Let me take the time to pull up my Hebrew. All right, so I got it up. Now, I took the initiative to just look up the word abhor in the etymology. All right, etymology online. The etymology of the word abhor is to loathe, regard with repugnance, dislike intensely, literally to shrink back with horror or dread. All right. Let's see. Shrink back from, having aversion for, shudder at, meaning like to stay away. Ab, meaning away from or off. Horror, meaning to tremble at. So literally to bristle, to be shaggy. Okay. So mind you, none of those said hate. And then on top of it, well, if you go to the blue letter, abhor, like I said, sayab. So in the scripture, as you can see, it comes up as either abhor or abominable. Abhor. And those things that are abominable, you abhor, that you stay away from. Right? It's not the word hate. If you go to Amos, where, let's see what it says, love the good, hate the evil. Let me just type that in. Hate evil. And again, these are things that they know this. Yeah, Amos 5:15. It says, hate the evil and love the good and establish judgment in the gate. It may be that the Lord Yahweh of hosts will be gracious to the remnant of Joseph. Let's see, the word there, hate, is a completely different word. It's shana, to be hateful. All right? And it's all meaning the word hate. Okay, hate it, hate. All right? So he added that when he said it's talking about the hate Edomite. First of all, you added that the word abhor does not mean hate. And they know that. Again, them being intellectually dishonest, intentionally. All right, so once again, this word here for Edomite. So I got the Hebrew up. So now here's what you're going to see. It says H130, right? That's what it says for Edomite. H130. To say Edom in the Hebrew is Ada. Well, as it says, it's Idama, which is really Idawamya, but let's see here. So you see the characters, right? It says H130. It got the Idamaya, right? And it says from H123 right here, Idam. Let's go down. So his name was changed to Idam, right? So let's go back. So when you see that, you'll say, oh, see, it says Edomite, right? Well, if you go here to the Strong's definitions, as it says here, it says patronymic from H123, it says CH726, and Edomites are descended from Edom or inhabitants of Edom. So let's click on H26. Well, guess what H26 says? It says Arawamya. Arawamya, which says what? Assyrian. It says Aramite, Edomite, but it's not Edomite because we just read what that is. It's actually Assyrian. Okay? And what does it say down here? Right here. It says, Strong's definition, Arawam Ya. It says a clerical error for H130. H130 is what we just read, where it's supposed to say what? Edom, right? It says a clerical error. Clerical error is a typo, okay? It says an Edomite as in the margin, Syrian. And it even gives you 2 Kings 16 and 6 as an example. Okay. So what does that mean? What that means is that in this, I believe in the 2 Kings 16 and 6, that's actually supposed to be, whereas it says here Assyrians, when it's actually supposed to be Edomites. And in Deuteronomy 23 and 7, it should actually say Assyrians. So let's see what the mistake is. Well, as you can see, the characters are, you could say, the same. So you got the I, and then you got the Ra, right? I, Ra, Wa, Ma, Ya. When you go to right here, so the error comes in because, as you can see, the Da and the Ra are identical, or they look the same. So as you can see here in the green, the Da, the character, and then you got the Ra over here. Okay. In fact, let me see if I can circle it real quick. Let's see. Let me do this. If I can just circle it temporarily. Okay, you got there. And then you got there. Okay, let me do that. There. I'm on the fly with this, so you gotta bear with me. So, okay. So those two characters, as you can see, you got the Da, and then you got the Ra. Let's go back. This card is fine. So they can look the same. So it's not actually supposed to say Edom. That's a clerical error. It's not Idum. Okay, which is really supposed to be Idawum. Yeah, because if you go to Edomites, let's type in Edomites. Genesis 36 and 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. All right, the Edomites, H123. Okay, Edom. All right, what does Idumea say? So this is the word used. Okay. And it's really supposed to be out of one. I wonder which H that could be. Oh, that's not it. Okay, I'm just browsing, but nonetheless, Idom and Arawam, right? The Da and the Ra they could be mistaken or identical, and that's why they even wrote in there that it was a clerical error. So Deuteronomy 23 and 7 isn't actually talking about Edomite, it's talking about Assyrian or Aram. Okay, Aram, right? So first of all, the word abhor does not mean to hate, and the word Edomite is not talking about an actual Edomite, because it says for he is thy brother. So what is this talking about? Well, when you know the history dealing with Abraham, okay, Abraham and even our mothers were known as Syrians. Genesis 25 and 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. And guess who Laban was? He was the brother of Abraham. And which means that they were Syrians. They were considered Syrians. All right? but they were our kinsmen. They were our flesh. They weren't Israelites per se, but they were close relatives. All right, Deuteronomy 26:5. It says, "And thou shalt speak and say before the Lord Yahweh thy God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there a few, and became there a nation great, mighty, and populous." Who's that talking about? It's talking about, let me just double check, because Jacob went in down there. But, because you got you got Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So when it said, "A Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation great, mighty, and populous." Okay, so that's Abraham, because the Lord told Abraham that your seed would be afflicted for 400 years. And I believe it was in that land that he was actually sitting on. So let me see. Let me type in 400. Yep, Genesis 15:13. "And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 100 years. So yes. So I believe that 23, I believe that's talking about Abraham. I could double check with the Yakyam. It's either Abraham or Jacob, but regardless, they're considered Syrians, because when we became Israelites, you still had them around. So the law was saying you can't abhor them because those are still your brother, remember, because they're still around. So because they're not Israelites per se, remember, those are still your relatives. Because like I said, our mothers were Syrian. Okay? They were Syrian. Laban was a Syrian, Abraham was a Syrian, Rachel, Rebecca, they were Syrians. Let me type that in again. And again, the word Syrian is Arawam. Arawam, yeah. Okay? Let me slack it. Let me see. Genesis 28:5. "And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Paddan unto Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah." Right. Yeah, because Abraham and Laban were brothers. Isaac got with Rebekah, and Jacob took the two daughters, so they were considered Syrians too. I just want to make sure. Slovakia. Okay, Laban was Rebekah's brother. And let me get Abraham genealogy. I want to make sure. I want to get that right. Abraham's his brethren. Okay, Nahor. Okay, Abraham's brother was Nahor. Okay, let me see if I could find. One second. All right, yeah. So it says here, Genesis 22:20, "And it came to pass after these things that it was told to Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath conceived and bore children unto thy brother Nahor." Right, so Nahor was Abraham's brother. Huz his firstborn, Buz his brother. Right, and verse 22, "And Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jilpah, and Bethuel." So Bethuel was the son of Nahor. And it says, "And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother." Right, so Rebekah was Abraham's niece. I said, yeah. Right, I believe I'm not confusing myself there. Right, so, right. My thoughts kind of all over the place. I know I got the family right. I may just be off about a sibling or whatnot. But the point is, though we're considered Syrians. So Deuteronomy 23:7 is a clerical error. We can go even further deep into it. But that's really the gist of it. It's not talking about an actual Edomite, because it wouldn't make sense. And that's been explained since back at the old school. And Bishop Nathaniel, he knows that. So the idea of saying you can't hate Deuteronomy 23:7 is proof that you can't hate Edomites is incorrect. From the moment you say abhor means hate, incorrect. And the word Esau is not talking about actual Edomites. You have to go into words to break down the scriptures. You have to. Otherwise, tell them to explain the virgin birth without going into words. You're going to have to go into the words to break that down. And like I said, they know this. They're just being intellectually dishonest. At least their leader is. And, you know, these guys are just the Christian church back in the flesh, and they're just back in the flesh. Just a new front. They're just wearing purple instead. You know, they've been compromised, so they're not going to teach you according to the scriptures, and really they're going to ultimately just go back to Christianity. So, you know, joining hands with the Nation of Islam for black people. So that just shows you that it's getting worse and worse. And these guys don't really understand what it is they're involved in. And Yahweh Shem Yahshua is not dealing with that group. All right. So with that short.